What is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome back to the channel. I am continuing the review lineup on the Snyder golf ball line, this time with their Pro, their Ace, and their Pro X models. Let's dive right in. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching and commenting and liking and all that stuff. There's so much engagement on this channel, and I absolutely love it. I appreciate you supporting the channel, and if you want to support it further, I still do offer the membership that just starts at $1 a month. That allows me to do even more for this channel. So I thank everyone who's become a member as well. Now, this is a continuation of the Snyder golf ball lineup. This is a German ball, brand basically. And, what was really interesting about the first three golf balls we tested was the amount of spin. I mean, if you didn't see it, it was insane. The Tour broke the 50-yard spin record. I mean, by like basically 1,000 RPM. And I mean, it was just nuts. And all these golf balls have had just tremendous spin. Distance, not so much, but when it comes to that backspin, these golf balls are not only going to, hit and rip back to you, they might rip off the green and come back down to your feet. I mean, it was that crazy. So I was very surprised. This was a brand I hadn't heard of. All right, so let's start with pricing and design, okay? So when it comes to the Ace, the Pro, and the Pro X, they all come at a price point of $53 a dozen. And this is going to turn some of you off, I understand. And because it is kind of a hard sell, let's be honest. When it comes to direct-to-consumer golf balls and brands that you haven't heard of, I love recommending those to you guys. But it's a harder sell when I'm like, yeah, it's the same price as the Pro V1 basically, but it's also more expensive than like the Bridgestone Tour B or the Strixon Z-Star series. And you're like, well, what? The numbers got to be there, basically. Now, the Ace does come in that normal white, like I showed you. They also do have an alternative white version that has a red number and a red alignment tool, as you can see there, so that's kind of different. And then the last color, of course, being yellow. They do offer that high-vis color, so that's kind of interesting. Then if we get into the Snyder Pro, as you can see, they do have just the basic black again, but they also have a green lettering as well. That's currently sold out. We'll see if it comes back in stock. And then there on the end, that's actually a blue numbering. So you can change up the number options, but there's no high vis for the Pro, so that's a little disappointing. I don't know why you would have high vis for the rest of the golf balls, but not with the Pro. Maybe it has to do with the 5 layers, which we'll talk about in just a second. Then, when it comes to the Pro X, as you can see, they have the basic white version. They also have a green, which is going to eliminate the idea of the 5 layers, because so is this one. But this one comes in that really cool kind of green color, and then it also comes in a yellow. So, interesting there. One thing that I find funny about the designs is all the different models have different color variations. Some of them, it's like it only offers in red, and some of them are like, oh, a crystal blue color, which is really pretty. And then, they're all different, and it kind of is unfortunate, because it's like, as I'm looking at the golf ball, I'm like, oh, I love that blue color. Oh, my numbers aren't really optimal for that one. And I'm like, oh, I love the green here. Oh, yeah, my numbers aren't optimal. Oh, my numbers are optimal. It only comes in white. So I'm kind of experiencing that a little bit, but it is what it is. Now, when it comes to the layers, like I said, the Ace is a 3-piece urethane, but the other two, the Pro and the Pro X, are a 5-piece urethane, and that's very uncommon on the market. As most of you know, TP5, Homna used to make one. They used to make a 6-layer ball too, I think. But 5-layer golf balls are very rare, and mainly because it's hard to get them to work right. The TP5 right now isn't having the best PR based on the My Golf Spy results and based on some other, opinions I've talked to in the golf ball industry. It's kind of struggling. They're trying to make it better, and so not a lot of people want to put the 5 layers. Some people that I've talked to don't really see the point. So it's going to be interesting to test these. If they are 5 layers, how do they do? Do I lose ball speed? Do I gain ball speed? Are they too firm? I'm interested to see how that works out. So, real quick, when it comes to the alignment tool, all these golf balls have the same alignment tool. Right here, this is what I touched on in the previous video. It's basic, it gets the job done, but I love it because it's easy to, line your ball up. Without further ado, let's get out to the chipping and putting green, and let's see how it does around there. All right, starting with the Ace. Now, guys, if you remember, if you didn't see the review for the first 3, the Snyder Tour is the first golf ball I ever gave 100% to on the spin meter. By far the most greenside spin, the most bite, the most rip, the most left and right I've ever seen. It was so much fun. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But now we are doing the other 3. So I have high expectations now. I expect these to at least be decent, starting with the Ace. Nice. I got to see if that was a fluke or not. First of all, it launched a little higher than I'm used to. The other ones were all low spinners. This one launched a little higher. But when it hit that second bounce, I mean, it almost broke my neck, me having to do a double take. Nice. Great. Not as good as the Tour, but really, really darn good. I mean, really good. I love that. Nice. That's a lot of spin. That's really good. As far as the feel, you know, it's kind of a medium balanced. It's got just a tiny bit of crisp, but it's not heavy. It's not soft. It's kind of right in the middle balanced. It's a good feel. It's not great by any means. It's not like eye-popping, but what is eye-popping is watching these golf balls bounce around and go left and go right and just tug back, and boy, that's fun. All right, getting to the Tour now. This is a 5-piece golf ball. Both this and the X model are, I believe. So, I mean, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see what these golf balls do. Okay. Okay, so actually, the least amount so far, I thought that was crispy and clean, but it didn't act like it, so we'll run it back here. Oh, okay, so, yeah, so one thing I'm noticing is it's coming off a lot higher. I can hear the click. Okay, there we go. Now see, that one was good. Let me run it back because that actually, maybe the first two were a little bit mishit. Okay, so when I get a low spinner, it definitely checks up a lot. Whoo, I like that. Okay, I'm starting to get a feel for it. It does actually spin more than initially thought. Oh yeah, be the one, be the one, be the one. Oh, you son. The Pro X is laughing at me right now like, okay, yeah, know what, you think I was different? Come on. Low spinners throughout, low spinners. I will say the X is very loud. It has a very, very loud click. It's very firm as far as, you know, just the sound. As far as the feel, I don't know, it's kind of nice actually. It's not as heavy as I thought it would be. It's actually coming off the club really nice. Okay, so unless you hit a low spinner, these do have a firm release. I don't know if that's just me catching it slightly behind the ball or what. Yeah, there, oh my gosh. I mean, I hit a cut there. I actually pulled it and hit a cut, and so when it hit, it slowly started the side spin, gravitating toward the hole. Boy, that's fun. That is so much fun. All right, let's hit some left spin. Oh. I love it. This has been so fun, guys. Seriously, these are a lot of fun to hit on the green. All right, I'm interested to see how these do because with the other models we just got done testing, you know, the Soft Plus and all that stuff, those did not work very well for the mallet putter. Because these are firmer and clickier, I wonder if it'll be a little bit better. I think it will with the mallet for sure. Let's go ahead and give it a test here. Okay, I just didn't give it enough. Very nice. That's the first true roll I've seen from any of the Snyder golf balls. That was excellent. One more time. Yeah, again, really excellent roll. I mean, I put too much on it, but my goodness, that was great. That's a 10 out of 10 true roll. I love to see that. I'm gonna do one more. Yeah, even on a slight miss hit, it is still an excellent roll. I love that. Now, it is pretty dead in the hands. There's not really a sound. There's not really any feedback. It's dead for the most part, so just keep that in mind. Now, on to the 5-layer. I am excited about this. This is the Tour. Let's see what we got here. Or not the Tour, excuse me, the Pro. See, when you got 6 golf balls, sometimes I get them mixed up. Oh, excellent. Boy, I love how fast they come off the club. Lately, I've been testing so many golf balls that you have to really hit hard to get there. Not the case here. Another true roll. Excellent. Love to see it. Again, dead. No feedback. No sound, really. I'm surprised with a 5-layer. Yeah, I mean, it's very minimal. That had a tiny bit of chug. I mean, look, the roll on these are not the best I've ever seen, but they're pretty good. You know what I mean? They really are. I mean, there was a couple times I hit it there. I saw that true roll. Now we're looking at the X model. Let's see what we got here. Oh, true roll, baby. 10 out of 10. And again, it has so much, like, distance control is hard for me because I'm so used to having to put so much on it. This, I just barely have to come back. That's great. That's refreshing. Yeah, I mean, I barely hit that. Boy, I'm having trouble here. This is going to take an adjustment for me. Yeah, the firmer golf balls are much better with the mallet putter for sure. These had some true roll. I enjoyed it. All of them, even the X model, not a lot of feedback. They've made them all kind of very similar, very light, airy, crispy. That's kind of the feeling I get when I hit them. Not a lot of sound either. Let's try the blade. Oh, okay. That feel was, ooh, baby, please. Can I have another? Again, excellent. Love the roll. Wow. Again, not very loud. Not very loud. Okay, a little mishit there. I heard the click that time. I felt the feedback. If you hit it in the center, it's buttery and light and smooth and all those wonderful things, happy sunshine rainbows. But if you do hit it off the center, it lets you know it has excellent feedback. So on to the 5-layer Pro now. Okay, I like that. A little bit more feedback. Still kind of hollow sounding. I mean, it's still very, very light on the sound. Oh man, I hit it perfect that time, and it just, again, buttery, crispy. I love it. Yes. Boy, the blade putter really is shining today, isn't it, everyone? Wow. Oh yeah, that's just excellent right in the middle. Terrible putt, but just beautiful feel. Buttery, crispy. Again, buttery, crispy. I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's incredible. I mean, I can just line them up. I can just line them up and hit them. They feel 10 out of 10. You know, the roll right there was a 10 out of 10. That's excellent. Oh, baby. That's the best so far. That is excellent when it comes to the Snyder balls. None of the previous 3 felt like that. That is incredible. I love that. Really responsive, a perfect level of crispness. The feedback is just a little kiss off the face. 5 out of 5. I'm gonna miss-hit this one just to see, but I mean, I don't need to see another pure hit. That's the best I have felt in a while. Okay. 3 out of 5 on the miss hit, but that's okay. It let me know. It wasn't obnoxious, but it let me know. But 5 out of 5 on pure hit though. I love that. Okay, miss hit right off the bat. Felt excellent. 4 out of 5. That's off the toe. Love to see it. Okay. Yeah, that's the real deal. That's another 5 out of 5. That is excellent. That 5 layers, it has so much responsiveness, so much feedback, but somehow it just shoots off the club like a rocket. Wow, that's impressive. That's really impressive. Okay, I swung a little fast. I mishit it. That felt good. Yeah, mishit feels 3 out of 5. You know, I mean, you got to have a lot of swing speed to really compress it on a mishit. But I want to see a pure though. Yeah, 4 out of 5, that's still pretty solid. I thought with it being so firm, it would really be punishing, even on a pure hit. Not the case. It felt fantastic. So I'm impressed. I mean, the lowest I think is a 3 out of 5. That's really good for a set of 6 golf balls. All right, so far we are off to a really good start. Let's jump into these numbers here and see how they are. Starting with the 50-yard pitch, backspin RPM, we're looking at
another absolutely incredible performance. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless because, you know, I've talked about the spin. The spin's just been incredible through this whole process. You know, the Ace, the Pro, and the Pro X are not only all in the green, but all 3 of those, you know, are top 5. And I mean, like, we have a brand new top 5, you know what I mean? All those just bump up, and it's just so incredible because these golf balls spin, and, you know, I don't know what it is about them, but there's just something that Snyder's doing that makes these spin an incredibly insane amount. So I'm not going to touch on it any further. You can see the numbers there for yourself. I mean, my golf ball addicts know what we've seen this year. The average, I think, is 8,000 RPM. Awesome.
Yeah, you know, we're noticing a trend at this point. I think you got to give Snyder some credit because not only are their golf balls performing just consistently incredibly with the spin numbers, but like across all their different models, right? Like, you know, I think there was 2 models previous that broke what would have been the #1 at the time, which was the Pro V1X at 85-55. I think 2 golf balls then broke it, and now you look at these, all 3 of these would have beaten it. Every single one of them. The Ace, the Pro X, all of them are above what 85-55 was, and that was that way for a long time, a couple months. So I mean, of course I expected that to get broken, but for Snyder to come in and just dismantle it, and just blow it up, I'm really impressed. These golf balls spin a ton. If spin is your highest priority, I have not seen anything like I've seen with these Snyder golf balls. I really haven't. It's just incredible. And the consistent level of spin. I talked about last video how I hadn't even seen over 9,000 except on a couple different balls I've tested this year. The Tour was over 9,000 every single time. Let's get into the pitching wedge now without further ado. We're looking at
Well, to absolutely no one's surprise, there's another spin record broken, starting with the Snyder Ace. As you can see, 8103 is crazy. That's the first golf ball I've seen average over 8,000 RPM this year. With the pitching wedge, I think my average is like 7,100. So, just substantial. Again, bonkers. Then when we look at, as far as the ball speed, though, this time, 95.1 will get the job done. The Pro, it looks like I lost a little bit. Pro X actually is the best of the three. That's kind of interesting. So I like to see that. When it comes to the spin as a whole, the Pro actually is more of a low mid, which is interesting. And then the Pro X got a very healthy amount. Good to see. Now, all these golf balls wanted to launch low, and I've noticed that as a trend with Snyder golf balls across the board. They all want to launch really low. And, like I've said before, European golf balls just kind of have a habit of doing that. I don't know if that contributes to the spin or what, but who knows. Keeps it out of the wind for some of you. Distance-wise, I'm okay with the Ace losing a little bit because, again, you just have such a high, ridiculous spin amount that you're going to lose a little bit. But when it comes to the Pro, I had hoped to see a little bit more than that. So I think here, the main takeaway is I'm happy with the Pro X. The Ace is awesome if you love spin. But the Pro, and kind of lacking a little bit. So let's move on.
Let's get into the 7-iron. Let's see if it's any different. We're looking at
All right, so interesting here. We've kind of done an old switcheroo with the spin. Now we've gotten a lot less spin and everything's in the red, so maybe that'll add to some of our distances. Looking at the Ace, as you can see, not bad, kind of in the medium there when it comes to your yellow. And when you come to your ball speed, when it comes to your distances, it passes. The fact that it has such low spin, I would have hoped it would have gotten in the green, but the smash factor wasn't, it was just slightly below average also. When we look at the Pro, though, now we've kind of gone in a different direction. I have some really good smash factor, really good distances as a whole, and the spin number is the highest of the three, which is kind of interesting. But then when we get into the Pro X, that's where I'm really astounded because 118 is the highest I have seen in a long time, in months. I almost didn't even think that was possible anymore just based on everything. 171 total distance. That's incredible. That's going to be an excellent distance, for mid and long irons. I love that as a whole. And, all of them want to launch kind of in that mid-range, so that's good too. Awesome. The X is really surprising me. You guys know I'm not big on X model golf balls, but this is kind of changing my mind on this one.
Okay, so like I said, low spin across the board. I like the fact that the Pro actually somehow jumps up now and ends up being the highest of the three, which is kind of interesting. But let's talk about the real story here, which is like ball speed. That X model is great. And I talked about it on the feel a little bit, not as much as I should have, because the feel of the X is just out of this world. It really is. I am so shocked, flabbergasted, bamboozled. Because an X model golf ball, traditionally for me, 9 out of 10 of them, they're just too firm. I don't like them. They're clicky. You mishit them. They really sting your hands. Not the case here. And so I got to give Snyder some serious credit there. That's phenomenal. 118. I haven't seen that in a long time. I hadn't seen a really good performance with the 7-iron in a long time. To see that is so refreshing. To gain distance again with the Snyder Pro. The Ace, distance-wise, was average. Spin was a little low, overall the 7-iron was a little lacking there, but now we have one lacking from the Ace, one lacking from the Pro. The Pro X is just bulldozing right along. Let's get into the driver. If you guys remember, driver was kind of the issue I had with the other three, just nothing that really kind of made my eyes pop, so maybe that'll change here. We're looking at
All right, and where the previous Snyder golf balls lacked, we have completely done a 180 because from what I am seeing here, this is a masterclass of a performance from the Pro models of Snyder. Starting with the Ace, 145.4, 145.8, 144. All three of those will be in the top 10 for ball speed as of right now. The first two will be in the top 5 for sure. I love to see that. When we get into the spin, I know a couple of you are going to look at 2629 and 2575. 25 and think, that's way too much. For me and for a lot of, lower spin players, that's actually pretty healthy. I actually got fitted recently, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but that's kind of optimal for me. So I'm looking at it with my eyes wide right now. The Pro wants to launch low. The other two launch mid. Distances are all in the green, over 40, over 240 a couple times. Smash factors are incredible. When you combine this with the total performance, the spin we saw, the pitching wedge, the 7-iron, green side, it's just hard not to be impressed. And I'm impressed.
Yeah, wow. What's really cool about that is I know a couple of you are going to immediately point to the spin on the Ace and the spin on the Pro X. 2,500 for me personally is really where I need to be, because I do have a habit of hitting just a really low stinger when I hit drives. I need a little help getting up into the air. Even when I have gone and got fitted myself, they've said, hey, you need to get a little more spin just to kind of be optimal based on your swing. 2,500 seems to be a really good mark for me, 24, somewhere in that range. I don't mind either golf ball having that. Now, for some of you, it might be different, right? You might be saying, oh, Nick, I spin the ball too high already and I already hit it up at balloons. Okay, so maybe not for you. But when we look at the ball speed across the board, 145, 145, 144, when we look at the distances all in the green, that's what I was looking for. I just said it not too long ago. I said, listen, with that price point, I have high expectations. These golf balls are not only breaking records with the 50-yard pitch on spin, but they are also top tier when it comes to driver ball speed. I mean, these are all going to be probably in the top 10 when it comes to driver ball speed. That's phenomenal. So, again, it's so interesting. I had not heard of Snyder. We'll talk about this in the conclusion, but I look at these numbers and I just think, wow, I'm really impressed. So now, I'm considering this as a gamer. You know what I mean? I have quite a few gamers, but I'm sitting here looking and I'm like, man, it's like a kid in the candy store. There's lots of great stuff in here. So anyway, let's go ahead and touch on the accuracy and dispersion, because let's be honest, if we don't have that, none of that matters. Let's get over to the computer and let's see how accurate and the dispersion charts are.
All right, so starting with the Ace, this is looking pretty good. I'm not going to lie. When we look at the 50-yard pitch, looks like a couple of them came up short, but when you look at 7 out of the 10 there that are right in this, tiny little circle, my goodness, that's great. Then we get into pitching wedge, and again, you got one push, one slight push to the right, one pull, but if you look at the other 7 out of 10, they're all just, throwing darts, and I love to see that. Getting into the 7-iron, a little bit of inconsistency. It looks like 2 of them I really flushed and got to go far. Accuracy's just okay there, but as far as distance control, that's pretty consistent. And speaking of consistency, looking at the driver, oh my goodness, what are we talking about here with the driver? Everything is on the same wavelength. It just seems like whether I mishit it or hit it pure, it's going the same distance, which is great. Accuracy-wise is pretty good. I think all those are in the fairway, maybe one's in the first cut, but that is good. That's a really great dispersion chart. Great start. Then once we get into the Pro, it's a little bit different. It's not as tight as I saw with the other one, but, still pretty good. If we look at 5 or 6 out of 10, right there, really good darts thrown. Pitching wedge is awesome. All of those are just really consistent. That's going to give me a lot of birdie opportunities. 7-iron, for the most part, there's that one pull that's just egregious, but other than that, pretty solid. I love that. Once we get into the driver, though, this is where I start to see a little bit of a difference. There's some distance disparity for sure. Consistency isn't as good as it could be, but accuracy-wise, in the fairway, everything's great. There's just one pull again that just, I must have just flipped the wrist a little too much, but that's solid. I don't think I like it as much as the Ace, but it is still a really solid performance, and I think it's above average. Then when we get into the X, again, really good dispersion when it comes to the 50-yard pitch, nice and tight. Pitching wedge, one pull, but other than that, pretty consistent for the most part, slightly above average, I would say. When we get to the 7-iron, that's actually really good. Again, you got that one random pull. I guess I'm good for at least 1 out of 10. But other than that, everything is pretty accurate. Now, there is some distance dispersion issues there as far as consistency, but accuracy-wise, that's awesome. They're all on the green. Then when we get into the driver, kind of funny. You have 4 that I kind of pushed to the right. You have 5 that I pulled to the left, all in the fairway, mind you, but still kind of pulled. And then you've got 1 that's highlighted there that's just right square in the middle. So again, not bad. I think the Ace is definitely the best of the 3, but the other 2 are right there with it. Obviously the 5-layer golf balls are going to be maybe a little more advanced. I'm not the best ball striker in the world, but these are all still above average, so I'm still impressed.
Okay, so let's talk about durability real quick. So let's start with the Ace. If I look at the Ace on the side, I hit it the most. It's not bad. It definitely has some nicks in it, which I can see. I look all over, yep, a little bit of abrasion there. It's not bad. I did hit this golf ball a lot. It is starting to flake a little bit. I will give it an 8 out of 10. I think an 8 out of 10 is completely fair in that regard, and I think that it still would last a whole round. Much beyond that, kind of up for debate, but that's all I'm shooting for is a round. Now, with that price point, I did have high expectations. 8 out of 10 gets the job done. Good job. All right, looking at the Pro. Honestly, looking at this thing, a little bit of gouging, kind of a similar thing there. This one, the dot fell off, as you can see, so I kind of started hitting it in different locations towards the end of the test. Still really solid, though. I like it a lot. I'll still give it an 8 out of 10. That's really solid. There's a couple abrasions there that are lifted. There's no cuts or tears, but that gets the job done. Again, 8 out of 10 is solid. Yeah, I respect that. All of Snyder's have been good so far. I think the previous ones were all 9 out of 10. So this is good. If your worst golf ball is an 8 out of 10, that's awesome. So then getting into the X model, maybe I spoke a little too soon here, unfortunately, because this is the worst I've seen out of any of them. There are serious cuts here. You can actually flake the paint off a little bit. It's not terrible, but the slits are deep enough to where I can actually feel them with my finger now. So that could be an issue. Because of the pricing on that and because of how bad it feels, I do got to demote this one to a 6 out of 10. Still solid enough, I think, to get you either A, through the round, or B, darn close, so it does pass or check the check mark. Maybe I'm putting a little too high of expectations on there, but like I've said, I think there's a good reason for that. Okay, closing thoughts. Wow, these golf balls are awesome. They really are. And I think what's cool about it is, one, I love direct-to-consumer. It had been a while since I tested direct-to-consumer that had done just really well and lit my eyes up. When it came to those first 3 models, there are brightnesses to them. The Tour, over 9,500 spent ridiculous. I've talked about those. If you haven't seen that review, I'll let you watch it. But when it comes to these, what's really cool is you have the Ace, which is a 3-piece. You saw the numbers. It spins fantastic. It comes off the driver great. Pitching wedge is good enough for the most part. What I'm impressed with the most is the 5-piece golf balls, because 5-piece golf balls has traditionally, in my eye, been something where I'm like, what's the point? I feel like it's more of a gimmick because, I understand the patent room in golf ball is really narrow. Like, there's so many patents all over. There's only so much you can do. That's what I've been told. So I get it that, like, you're trying to make a 5-piece ball because, it lets you do something different and, be unique. But Snyder nailed it. Like, this is a golf ball I would use. The X was actually a golf ball I would game all day of the week, twice on Sundays. And you know what? If I was out of X models and you tossed me a Pro, I'd use it too. I absolutely would. I love the fact that it comes off the driver with incredible ball speed. I love on the X model, I got a little extra spin, which helps me out, makes it a little more accurate. There's great accuracy and dispersion here. Green side, there's very few negatives about the golf ball. When it came to the previous review, if you remember, the 2 things I mainly talked about was, 1, the price. We can't do anything about that, so let's just, let's accept that. But also, it was mainly the distance, right? They spun a ton, but there was just no pop off the club. Now, we've got still incredible spin, but somehow we've also added some really good distance in there. The 7-iron with that X model, the Pro model with the 7-iron, but also now with the driver. They've plugged up some gaps there for sure. So I think these are all fantastic golf balls. Now remember, they do offer this in a trial pack. So if you're interested in this and you see these numbers and you're like, hey, this is awesome. For $25, you can get a trial pack and you can at least try them for yourself. And so I'm glad Snyder does that. Guys, as always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time, thank you